much has been made of the lack of synergy from a cultural standpoint and academic standpoint between some of these Big 12 and Pac-12 schools. But at the same time that the Big 12 seems to be in a position where its best move would be to draw in a Utah, a Colorado, Arizona State. And I made the argument yesterday that I would gun for Oregon and Washington. I'd say, you know what? You're being shunned by the Big Ten right now. We'll roll out the red carpet for you. Who knows, how you're going to be treated, a la some of the complaints about, Nebraska. And one of the reasons why they left the Big 12 was, Texas got all the favoritism. So if you're being treated like this now and being pushed at arm's distance right now, come join the Big 12. So I would gun for Washington and Oregon. And then we've got the other 4 schools in the Pac-12 that seem to be the most viable for the Big 12. At least that's the talk.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, when we talked last week amidst all the chaos, I think one of our closing comments was, don't take whatever's on the surface. As a media consumer, dig deep, read, don't just take the headline, click on the article, read it. And I'm not saying that because I want everyone to click on our articles, although if you did, I wouldn't complain. But the point is, we got what I would call reliable information late this afternoon that contradicts something that came out earlier. That the 2 Arizona schools, Colorado and Utah, did not have a meeting today with the Big 12. They have set up a meeting to discuss it. There's a big difference. They're not talking yet. They're talking about talking, and they will talk. So there's that. Look, Colorado's going to have to eat some crow. Colorado left the Big 12 on bad terms when it bolted for the Pac-12. So there's some hurt feelings that have to go there. Utah should be an obvious. I agree that if I'm the Big 12, I'm sitting there saying to Oregon and Washington, I agree with your point, Mark, that, hey, the Big 10 is putting you on the back burner waiting for Notre Dame, which I don't think is going to take the bait for the Big 10. What are you waiting around for? Why do you want to be their second or third choice? Come here and we'll do all of this. I think there used to be academic considerations. I think that Kleofkoff is going to have to let those go. It was up until recently a requirement that you be a tier 1 Carnegie education research school in order to gain admission to the Pac-12. Handful of schools were grandfathered in because they were originators of the old Pac-8 or even the Pacific Coast Conference and all of that. But everybody was there and you had to get in. It's part of the reason BYU didn't make the cut when they brought Utah in, because at the time BYU was not. Don't know if they are or aren't now, doesn't matter. And the Big 12 doesn't have any similarity of academic requirements that the Big 10 does with its AAU academic performance, or the Pac-12 does with Carnegie. So it's a little easier to just make those jumps based on, making the solid 30-second elevator pitch, frankly.
Does anything matter anymore? I mean, like, geography doesn't matter anymore. No. Academic requirements don't matter anymore. I mean, This really is someone else said it. I forget who, but this is a dam breaking moment. USC, UCLA to the Big Ten. It's a dam breaking moment.
I apparently offended some Big 12 folks, or I guess more importantly, Oklahoma and Texas folks last week.
Well, they're SEC folks now.
Well, there will be soon, sure. When I said this was a bigger deal than Oklahoma and Texas leaving for the SEC. That was a sports move that had to do with moving a couple schools to another conference for their athletics, and that was that. It really was that. And does Texas get to keep the Longhorn Network? Of course they do. And that was really the end of it. This is, look, hey, since we're talking USC and UCLA, let's call it what it is. It's an earthquake. And earthquakes have aftershocks, and there are going to be aftershocks. This is the number 2 media market in the country up and leaving. And so this changes everybody's TV negotiations going forward for the next 2 to 3 rounds of negotiations.
And it does underscore the point, Tony, that, you know, contracts are made to be broken,
Sure.
agreements are made to be broken. And this, yeah, like this just totally reshapes the landscape. And so, especially on point with what you said about the ACC grant of rights, yeah, if you're Clemson, if you're Florida State, if you're Miami, you're saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like we could get all this ESPN Disney cash, you know, making the hop to the SEC. Like we need to make up this difference here. We need to bargain for something much, much better than what we're getting. So yeah, I mean, it does stand to reason that this is going to cause a seismic shift and a ripple effect across the whole of the sport.